Security is tight at the Phillips Correctional Center in Buford, Georgia. The barbed wire encased medium security prison is home to 800 inmates, including Tony Hartsfield, whose life on the streets led to felony convictions that landed him in here.
The lifestyle that I lived was selling drugs, and a lot of it were just hustling.
Hartsfield has experienced a lot in prison.
I was put in lockdown for 18 months, and I had a time to reflect on life, the importance of life.
He spent his time reading the Bible and thinking about what he could do to turn his life around.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Hartsfield left solitary confinement with a new attitude.
If there is such a thing as a model inmate, I would say he was probably a model inmate.
Oh, behind the back, now slam it. Oh, woo, look at that.
Today's a good day for Tony Hartsfield. His family's come to pay him a visit.
You know, my life is based around getting out with my grandkids now.
Tony Hartsfield's story is one of 60,000 stories in the Georgia prison system.
You committed crime in Georgia, as they say, you're going to do the time, you're going to do quite a bit of time.
Georgia's Department of Corrections consumes $1 billion of the state's $18 billion budget. While the state is tough on lawbreakers, Commissioner Brian Owens is quick to point out his approach to running the state's vast prison system isn't based on punishment.
I believe that the loss of freedom is the punishment.
He says children suffer the most.
In Georgia, every night, 100,000 kids go to sleep with one or both of their parents in jail or in prison. 100,000 kids.
How's your grades?
Visitation day can be awkward.
If you get pregnant, it's because you choose to get pregnant.
But it gives inmates a rare opportunity to play the role of father to their children.
So it's hard to be a daddy in here and not be able to be out there.
The room is crowded, which means no privacy. There are no games or books for children to read. You just have to make the most of the situation.
Father God, I just want to thank you once again, Father God, for allowing us to just come together.
For Hartsfield, these precious moments end far too soon.
Man, I love you, man. Give me a hug. Squeeze dad, squeeze granddad. Look at it.
As his family leaves the visitation center, they turn right to exit the prison compound. Tony turns left to return to his dormitory.
I always go back to the dormitory and reflect on how my visit was. And it helps motivate me to know that one day upon my release, I will not have to be separated anymore.
Tony Hartsfield is 47 years old. He's up for parole in 2016. The freedom and the world he longs to return is not always welcoming to ex-offenders.
If you have been in the criminal justice system, somebody has to forgive you so you can start over.
Dr. Henri Treadwell is Director of Community Voices and Men's Health Initiatives at Morehouse School of Medicine. She heads up a reentry project for ex-offenders.
The goals of the reentry program are to welcome people back once they have served their time.
Dr. Treadwell says her work in reentry began years ago at the Kellogg Foundation.
What began at Kellogg first was just to focus on men's health. As we continued the work in men's health, it just became impossible to ignore that incarceration had a lot to do with health.
Addressing the healthcare needs of the underserved communities is part of the mission of Morehouse School of Medicine.
Community Voices is working on blocking that revolving door of people getting out of prison and then coming back into prison. And we believe that many of the programs we have through Community Voices are going to address that issue.
We want people to be able to come home to a job.
Oh, it's extremely tough, you know.
Philip Ruffin is an ex-offender.
Even if you have a minor problem or a minor felony, you know, they make it seem like it's just terrible, the worst thing you could do in the world. They don't even see you as people anymore.
Ruffin is also licensed heating and air technician.
This job, it helps me take care of my family. I actually got this job through a reentry program.
All of these workers are ex-offenders, hired by this man, Fred Anderson.
I trust ex-offenders because I trust myself, and I'm an ex-offender myself.
Anderson owns 3 businesses and also heads a nonprofit organization. He lives in a beautiful home in suburban Atlanta.
I love the life I'm living. Now that I have a wife, I have a son. To me, those are the 2 most important people in the world.
This life is far removed from his years of incarceration.
Yeah, I would say I'm a successful American businessman.
Anderson believes in second chances.
The purpose of this class is to actually teach you how to become an entrepreneur. Okay?
And he is part of the Community Voices Network.
Today we're going to be focusing on fatherhood, parenting, and reconnecting with your children.
Community Voices also teaches ex-offenders how to become better parents. These fatherhood classes are sponsored by It Takes a Village Today. The group also sponsors social events to reunite inmates with their families. These activities are all part of an effort to reconnect families and reduce recidivism. United States Attorney Sally Yates.
From my perspective, it is far better to prevent crime than to prosecute it. And that's what I view this reentry as. It's really crime prevention.
You can't start a new life by being thrown out on the street with nothing. That doesn't give you the best shot.
We have hired ex-offenders throughout Chick-fil-A in our restaurants.
Dan Cathy is the president and chief operating officer of Chick-fil-A.
I think we're going to have to come together to do what we can do to be a voice of a rescue and throw out a lifeline.
Communities actually know how to solve the problems that face them, and it's time that we put that place and that power into their hands.
Community Voices knows how to bring people together, and it knows how to bring people together who don't typically know how to work together, but who have a similar agenda in mind.
Community Voices has its own life in our community. It has changed the way we address issues. It has changed the way that we care for people.
Some of the best feedback that we get is not you did A, B, or C. It is that you cared. You gave us hope. That's what we do.